Hey folks, I am back with round 8 from the Reykjavik Open, and with me is my boy, the chess nerd, Zach.
Hello, hello.
Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Nice. We're here hanging out, and I got to do this recap, so we decided to record it together. I had a very interesting game against Grandmaster Sokolovsky, Yahli from Israel, and Zach, you're gonna help me recap it. Maybe ask some because you haven't seen the game, right?
Yeah,
So
this is my first preview, first run through, so I'm very excited to see how you did.
nice. So this was round 8. Going into this round, I have 5 out of 7. And yeah, paired against Grandmaster Sokolovsky, rated 2546. And actually, before the round, you were telling me that you've been following this guy's journey lately. So maybe you can tell us what you've seen of him.
Yeah, so in the past year and a half of me playing chess tournaments all over Europe, there was also another guy. You know, there's a few players that you just clock that are at all the tournaments, and this was one of them. He was like at all the big open tournaments, performing well every tournament, and I basically witnessed this guy go from IM to GM in the space of a year and a half. Very impressive. So I thought it was a scary pairing, but you felt.
I felt good. Yeah, going into it, I was not scared. But I do remember him being an IM not that long ago, and now he's 2540 GM. So clearly he shot up. And actually, pretty young guy. I think he's like 18 years old. So clearly has still a lot of room to grow. Oh, let me mention, Zach is also playing the tournament, and you're currently on 4.5 out of 8.
Correct. Correct.
And also doing recaps for your YouTube channel.
Of course.
So if
You
you're
didn't have to plug me.
no, I mean, people should go watch your videos. I mean, if you
Thank
guys
you.
like, if you're watching this, you probably like recaps. So go watch, go watch Zach cover his tournament again. All right, so here we go. So I started with one e4. This is my 4th time playing e4 in this tournament.
You don't usually play E4, right?
I do not. I've been a d4 player, my whole life, and then lately I've had some inspiration. I want to play more e4, get some Sicilians, some Rui Lopez's, just play these classic positions.
So what's the way you look at it? You're scared going into it, or you're fearless and you're playing it for experience and for.
I'm definitely a bit nervous every time I play e4, not gonna lie. But I also think it's good for my chess to play these new positions because it gives me a ton of experience. I've been learning a ton of new ideas. Okay, earlier I got crushed by Liu Shanglei in round 2 in an open Sicilian, but I learned a ton from that game, and I feel like I'm a better player now because of it. So I'm kind of like trying to build for the future, basically, like build myself into a stronger player. And I think the only way by doing that is to kind of like battle test yourself by playing into these sharp positions. Because, yeah, prepping for the guy, I knew he might play either Najdorf or e4, e5, but I was expecting Najdorf because he's playing a lower rated player, and that's what we ended up getting. So knight c3, a6. Earlier in the tournament, I played bishop c4 and bishop e3 against Liu Shanglei, and that was a pretty brutal game. You guys can see that one on the channel. For this game, I decided to switch it up, and I played bishop g5 Najdorf, which I've never played. I've been telling Zach I've never played this over the board. I'm not even sure if I've ever played it in a blitz game. It was a bit of inspiration for this exact matchup. I saw that my opponent is playing this line with knight bd7, and that actually maybe white can get some reasonable chances here. So, of course, black has many options, like e6 is the main move, where white goes f4, and then queen b6. This is kind of the famous poison pawn variation with a bunch of games from Fischer, Kasparov. I had something prep here, guys. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I was happy to see knight d7 because that's kind of where I focused most of my my pregame work. So bishop c4, queen b6. This had been seen in my opponent's games before. So bishop b3. I'm still kind of in book here. e6, f3, bishop e7, and the bishop drops back to e3, which is losing a tempo, but black will also have to lose a tempo to move the queen. So it kind of works out. Knight c5, g4, queen c7, queen d2. This is all basically known, b5, and a3. Okay, so at this point, if black allows, actually, I want to save my bishop with bishop a2, and then possibly castle queenside, and then somewhere go g5, maybe g6, or f4, f5. It's a typical idea. And it's a very sharp position, but black can take here. I think this is one of the main lines, and then play like bishop b7. And I think here my prep was to play g5 followed by castles queenside, and it's Okay, it's a game. I don't want to get into it, but he ended up playing bishop d7. So at this point, I'm kind of out of book because I couldn't remember if I looked at this exact move. But I knew in most positions I do want to save my bishop, so bishop a2. And now he goes rook b8. And at this point, this is where I really started to think, because black's idea most likely is to go a5 now that he's defended the b pawn, and b4. Or possibly b4 first and then takes rook takes, where he gets some counterplay on the b file. So yeah, at this point I was deciding what to do. And actually, the main move I wanted to play, which I ended up playing, was this move b4.
I would have gone for that too.
That was your instinct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just like we can c2, right?
Yes.
So it's a trade-off.
No, it's a very like committal move for white, because now it's going to be super hard to castle queenside. And we can c2, we can c3, and c4.
Wow.
Like I can never
in one move 3 squares. Wow.
I can never defend any of these squares, again. Okay, c2 I guess I can never defend, but yeah, it's still kind of weaker. But the advantage of this move, of course, is that the knight is sent back to b7, which is just a really bad square. Because knight a4, I think I just take and go c4.
Yeah, nice.
And then I'll castle kingside and play this positionally. So it looks great. So b4 I didn't want to play, but my reasoning was like he played rook b8, bishop d7, and knight c5. With one move, I restrict like 3 of his pieces. Because he did all this counterplay to get b5, b4, but now the knight has to go back. But on the other hand, now I can't really castle queenside, so I wasn't sure what's going on. But okay, I continue g5, which I thought is logical to kick the knight h5. And first thing I looked at here, which is very thematic, is like knight f5, this kind of thing, followed by knight d5.
Wow.
Which you should always look at if you can get knight d5 with tempo, but I didn't see it quite working after queen c8. I just didn't see a good follow-up here. So maybe white has compensation because black's pieces are weird, but that's something, for a computer to to figure out. For me, it didn't look clear at all. Instead, I ended up playing this move, knight ce2, with a very thematic idea just to play knight g3 and then prompt black to open up the h-file, which then is super dangerous for black to castle. I also considered f4. I thought f4 is interesting here, just trying to play f5, the classic Fischer plan. But on rook c8, I wasn't sure what to do because my knight is hit. And then if I move my knight away here, well, then f5 doesn't come with as much sting because on e5, I don't get knight d5, right? So I wasn't quite sure if I should do this. I thought starting with knight c2 makes more sense to just try to get knight g3 in.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so here he goes a5, which is actually a little bit surprising, but I'm not sure what else he should do. Like I was thinking just a sample line, rook c8, knight g3, take. And I found this cool trick. If he goes like queen c3, trying to go for the endgame, I can take.
Oh, and king d2?
Rook takes, exactly. King d2, rook takes a3, and...
Bishop takes e6.
Bishop takes e6, very nice. And I went a pawn because of the in-between move. And then this endgame here looked...
Ooh, with that backwards a6 pawn, huh?
Incredibly nice, yeah.
Oh, and the isolated pawn on d6.
Knight on b7.
And the knight is controlled. Whoa.
d6. Rook a8, I go knight takes b5.
You have everything here.
So, yeah, I wasn't worried about this endgame. But, okay, instead he goes a5, which makes a lot of sense. Like, he's trying to get his counterplay going. And here, yeah, I definitely started to think for some time because my first thought was knight to g3. But then basically what I wasn't sure is that he can take, let's say take on b4, and then go rook a8. And
Bishop takes e6 still.
No, but here rook hangs with check.
Oh, the king. Oh.
Yeah. So basically, I have to spend the move like going king f2, threatening bishop b6. But then I thought he has time to like go rook a4, and then I wasn't totally sure about this, but I didn't realize I have g6 in this position.
Whoa.
So actually, I could have gone for this because g6 at the end is incredibly unpleasant for black.
That's very strong.
Can't take with the pawn. I'm threatening to go rook takes h7. And then he's probably got to go fg, and then I take on e6 with something, either with the bishop or with the knight. Probably both are good, but yeah, this just looks fantastic for white.
Even I would do bishop to lighten up your rook on
Yeah.
the a file.
Bishop
And taking back with the knight is just
might be stronger. Exactly. Yeah, because I get like knight e6, I get the a file,
Oof.
and yeah. So I kind of rejected this for the wrong reason, basically, because this AB4 line is looking nice for white after king f2, and then g6 is coming. And it's really hard for black to castle with this open h file. So maybe what I should have done on a5 actually was start with king f2. And I talked to David Pruis from Chess Dojo after the game, and this was his suggestion. He basically wanted to go king f2 in almost any position because knight g3 is coming anyway, so white connects rooks, and black actually has kind of a difficult choice because if they castle kingside, they just get mated on the h-file. If they don't castle, then the rook on h8 doesn't get in the game. So I can just play on the queen side with an extra rook, like rook c1, c4, and so this actually was very, very interesting. But I did actually end up going for the immediate knight to g3. And my reason for this was that on takes, if black goes a takes b4, I wasn't sure about this ab4 rook a8 line, but actually I realized I can just throw in g6 here. So this was my plan in the game. And I think he might have missed it because he started thinking quite a bit after takes and hg3. Because I feel like his intention was to go ab4, but I think he might have realized that I'm going g6. And yeah, it's basically the same position as before. I'm just like cracking on e6, and
yeah,
black's position kind of looks like it's in shambles. Maybe knight takes here. So after hg, I was kind of thinking like, what's he going to do? Maybe g6, I thought, to stop me from going g6. But then, okay, David's suggestion was king f2. During the game, I was thinking just like f4. And then try to play f5.
Really?
And yeah, just try to break. And I found this quite challenging for black. Like, I think e5 is really hard to play here. I was even considering this. It's just like sack, take, and like queen takes.
Ooh.
And then rook has to move, and then I get like
rook takes
h7, or even just like g4, just like piling on. I mean, I have no idea what's going on here, but it's just the kind of line I was
looks domination.
Considering.
Yeah.
Not really sure I have to sack. I think it's probably much more prudent to just like keep my piece because black's position is still really, and now he's played e5, so the diagonal is open. I have the h file, so I think I shouldn't sack. I think I should just kind of like play normal. Then the other move I thought he might do is like knight d8 to defend everything, but here also f4, and now he doesn't even have f5 because of knight f5. But I'll show you one line that I was thinking about during the game, which is not very relevant, but I thought it was cool. I was thinking I go f5 here. Takes, bishop takes. And now I'm threatening bishop takes g7. I'm threatening g6. So I thought, for example, let's say black goes f6. It's a bit of a fantasy variation, but I thought it's very pretty. I'll go g6. Let's say h6.
No! Rook takes h6.
Rook takes h6.
Rook takes, queen takes h6.
Queen takes h6.
No!
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, does this actually work? I mean, I'm down a queen and the knight.
And you sacked a rook as well.
We traded rooks, technically. Because I also got his rook.
Traded rooks. Aight.
But I'm down a full queen and a knight. But I'm promoting, right? I was like, it was hard to visualize during the game, but I didn't see how he stops the pawn.
But you're still down a piece, though.
But I have huge threats once I get the queen.
The king's weak.
Like
queen g6 is threatened.
So if knight f7, I'm promoting and taking the knight.
Yeah.
And then everything. So I
wait. So bishop c8 or bishop c6 maybe?
Okay. Yeah. Let's just look for a sec.
Bishop e6.
Well, I think I mate with checks. Just bishop e6. Yeah, exactly. Just beautiful. Okay. This whole thing is very unnecessary because on e5, the smart thing is to just play knight f5, not sack and have a amazing. But it was a fun line, that I saw, and I feel like it might work at least in that final position. Okay, so long story short, we both realize that he has to play d5 here. It's kind of like his only practical move because otherwise f4, f5, or g6 is way too strong. But here he goes d5 and opens up the queen on g3. Oh, this is partly why I wanted you here.
E5.
No, e5 would be great, but unfortunately he can take. And yeah.
Bishop F. Oh, there's no bishop F4.
If the bishop
keep
wasn't
missing
pinned.
that our king is still on E1. I'm used to having the castling done by now.
Yeah, then E5 would be a great move. No, I'll show you why you're very relevant here. So he goes D5, hitting G3. I basically have to take his bishop F4, E5. I considered this, but I couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
It just looked very unclear. So I do take. Queen takes.
Mm-hmm.
So originally I was gonna go Queen F2 here, and I thought if he goes for the endgame, I'm very happy because I'm threatening the E pawn and takes. Bishop takes. Looks super active. But what I wasn't sure about is that he goes back Queen E5, and yeah, here is hard to figure this position out because my rook on A1 is hanging, so my knight can't really move, and B4 is hanging as well. So if I take, maybe bishop takes. I was considering something like this.
Knight C6. Oh no,
but I
okay,
can't.
still again.
Yeah, so I was like, I was having trouble figuring this position out. I thought it would be okay for me. Like I was willing to go into it, but I just wasn't sure what's happening. But then actually he started thinking on queen takes G3. And so I realized like, oh, maybe I have other options.
Yeah, that's a tell usually when your opponents do that.
Exactly.
I had that today actually.
Exactly. So one thing I consider is king F1, threatening bishop F4.
Okay.
But then I realized he has E5.
Mm-hmm.
And then bishop H3 check is a very annoying move.
This is one of those games where you don't leave your seat.
I actually got up very little. Yeah.
Because
Normally, I'm
it's
a
so
walker,
fascinating.
But it was very complicated. I was like, oh shit, I only have 45 minutes. I gotta, spend my
You're thinking
time.
on his time for all sorts of things.
There's so much to calculate. But then I realized I can go king E2. Which at first I wouldn't even consider because it looks weird. But then I remembered your game that you showed me last night in the 4-Night Sicilian, where White's king goes on D3 and like survives.
And marches to the queen side.
So I realized like, oh wait, queen G2, king D3 is actually not that scary. In fact, he has to trade queens here because queen G3, if he goes back, number one, I can repeat. Number two, I can trap his queen and game over.
Oh! Cold shower.
Yeah.
Trapping a queen with a fork is crazy though.
Yeah, and I got the rook too. Okay, he can go bishop G5, but he loses material. I take. So, yeah, I kind of realized, wait, actually, hold on. It's only his queen that is in my position. Everything else is passive. So my king on D3, okay, looks weird, but he doesn't actually have anything. So I play king E2, and he goes E takes D5, which I think is probably good, just to take this pawn. But now I have bishop F4, queen G2 check, and I think I can go either king D3. In the game, I went king E3. And black is forced to go for the endgame, where my king is actually going to be well placed. I wanted to give him a chance to blunder. This would never happen, but just in case he thought he's like winning some material here, I have F4. You never know. You never know. You never know. So he takes. He has to. King takes. And now the rook is hanging. And if he moves the rook, I get bishop takes D5 with tempo, and I'm getting rook to E1.
Whoa. He's in trouble.
Which is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah. So here I started feeling like, great, like he has to go bishop D6.
Whoa.
And it's like, okay, I decide to give rook E1 check, force the king to move, king D8, and now take. And the reason I did the A rook is because I take on D5.
Keep the pressure on H7?
I keep the pressure on H7, right? And the file I gave up, the A file, can't be touched by black.
Oh.
So I can always go back if I want. So that's why, like,
Genius.
this rook, right? So this position I thought actually, like, okay, it's equal material, but all my pieces are better. And he has this weakness on B5. Any kind of knight C4, I'm just taking, and I'm playing this endgame all day. Like
wow.
Rook E5, rook C5,
Wow.
So I was feeling very confident here. He goes rook C8, C3. Just, if I take on A5, he's got knight C4 check, and maybe his rook gets active. So I was like, C3. And here I thought if he takes and knight C4, I'll take this one. I don't know, rook takes, rook E5. And he's not defending the B pawn. And then that's two protected passers supported by my king. I thought this is likely winning.
GG, yeah.
Looks good, right? So he goes rook C7, which I think maybe his only idea, try to get the rook to A7. And okay, here I realize this is a little bit annoying because he wants rook A7, and then a2 is covered, but he'll go knight c4 check, I'll take, and then at some point a2 will be a problem.
That's a very deep move.
So he gets counterplay. Yeah, I think he started defending this really well. So yeah, at this point I started calculating, and I play rook h4 based on my calculation. Rook a7, rook h1, rook e8. So originally what I wanted was I was actually going to take this one. And what I thought his idea was to take, go knight c4. I take, pawn takes. And my idea was to play this move, rook h2. Because it looks super scary, but actually I couldn't see how he creates play here. Because anytime he gives check, I move my king, and my rooks are immediately challenging. So I'm not giving the second rank. And I'm up a pawn. And so if he gives me a move to play king c1, king b1, at some point rook e2, I start trading rooks. I felt like should be really good winning chances. But then I realized in this final position, he can go rook e5. And I was
f4, rook e4, that's the idea?
Exactly. f4, rook e4, he starts latching on. I can't move my rook here or anything
so
because rook a2 and rook a1 check. I'm just going to lose a rook here.
Oh, wow.
So f5 maybe, but then rook g4. And I felt like I'm losing my extra pawn. Position's opening up. His rooks are now perfect. His bishop eventually will be open. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I could lose this. Like, really started to feel very unclear. So, well, here's what happened. First, I played rook e1, offering a trade of rooks and also offering to repeat.
Ooh.
And what my idea was, I wanted to repeat once because we're on move 31. I'm down to 15 minutes. I wanted to get to the time control. My idea was to repeat once, go rook h1, rook e8, and then take in this position. But it was only here I realized, like, oh, he's got this counterplay. And I realized if I take on h7, he has the immediate rook e5, which is actually even more annoying.
Whoa.
Because my bishop doesn't have a great square. He wants to take on g5. And this game actually can turn in a moment's notice because he has a lot of pieces and my king's on d2. So if his rooks get open, then it could be really bad. So at this point I realized, oh shoot, I have to play rook e1 to challenge the e-file, but we've already repeated once. So if I go rook e1, he can claim a draw with rook h8.
Before playing it,
yeah, because basically in here on rook a7, it's white to play in this position. This is position number one.
White to play is a big,
Right. This is number two.
Yeah.
And then here I end up going rook e1, and then this would be number three with rook h8. So unfortunately, I repeated. I repeated, and then it was too late to avoid the repetition, because if I wanted to avoid it, I should repeat once like this, rook e1, and then here I should play something else.
Happened to me like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
In the king d3, king b3 game.
Right.
This repetition thing happened to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Where your opponent wanted to play on, but did it one move too late.
Yeah.
And so this nonsense about always repeat, complete BS. Complete BS. Well, I don't know. Maybe I would have ended up taking on h7 and could have been bad. So this is really where I feel like I bungled it. After the game, I was talking with David a bit. We were thinking king c2 I should play here. And to me, it still looks like white is pressing. I don't think it's like totally winning, but I just think black is under pressure and would have to play very precisely. I haven't checked it with the engine, but it did still look really unpleasant because it's hard for him to go knight c4 and now if I'm given time to like improve my king, then at some point, I'll go rook h1, h pawn's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up drawing after these moves. He wrote down rook h8 on his score sheet and told me he was going to claim.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Did he pause the clock?
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if he plays rook h8 here and like offers a draw, for sure I'm going king c2.
Holy moly.
Because I really didn't want to draw in this game. I was telling myself, like, if he offers you a draw, do not take it. Like, you're better. You're beating this guy. What's the point of playing bishop g5 knight if you're not going to try to win the game? If you get a good, like, I got a good position. Like, what? I'm not going to try to win this. So I was kind of kicking myself, like, that I ended up bungling it essentially.
So wait, what did he do? He wrote it down. It's very important for the audience. If you guys play tournaments,
You got to claim correctly. Yeah.
So he wrote down his move before playing it.
Right.
His future move before playing it.
Yeah.
Then he paused the clock. Then he said, I'm going to claim a draw, and he offers you the draw.
Right.
If you don't accept his draw offer, he can call the referee or the arbiter to see the position 3 times. And if you accept, he doesn't have to call the arbiter, and you just have a draw.
Yeah, exactly. When you claim a draw by threefold, you are essentially offering a draw to your opponent. So they can accept without the arbiters having to figure out if the position was actually repeated 3 times. And sometimes that happens where the opponent doesn't agree that it's a draw, or maybe it's like a tricky repetition and they're generally not sure.
Yeah.
And so then the arbiters check. But here, I mean, I already understood that it is 3 times, so it would just kind of waste time for the arbiters to double check, So, yeah, I just said okay, yeah, I understand. It's a threefold, and yeah, draw agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So, mixed feelings about this game. Honestly, I feel happy with how I played. It was my first time playing Bishop G5 Najdorf, which is a very, very sharp opening to handle. My opponent has a lot more Najdorf experience than I do, but I felt like, I found some really nice ideas and decent play, and then I got this endgame against a Grandmaster where I'm playing for 2 results. Hard to be too upset with that.
Can I say my perspective?
Please.
It seems to me like this is a game with almost no mistakes. You missed some details, but not like a mistake. The lines that you calculated were very accurate, very detailed, almost like some art. Like you really had okay, if this, then this. So that's something to be really proud of, especially against a strong Grandmaster. He's a very healthy Grandmaster, and he didn't have chances. Right. That's the most important thing to take away for you.
Yeah.
He didn't have chances. It was all you, and he had to take the draw.
Yeah.
He was forced into it.
Yeah, he had to
He had a bad position.
Yeah.
He had a bad position. He loses if he doesn't claim that draw, and that is just as good as a win for you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he doesn't necessarily lose if he didn't claim it, but he would be risking a lot more than I am, for sure. Yeah. So, and I imagine from his perspective, being 200 points high rated, he didn't want to make a draw, but yeah, the position kind of forced his hand.
It's an excellent result in an opening you don't play and have never played, and just calculations and thematics that were essentially perfect. You should be really proud of this game.
Well, thank you. This is why I wanted you here, for the hype. I really appreciate it.
I'm at 25% too on my recaps, bro.
Right. So yeah, well, there you have it. So I'm on 5.5 out of 8. One more round to play tomorrow morning. I'll probably get another strong opponent, this time likely with black. But yeah, we're gonna go in again, guns blazing, try to get a good game out of it, win or lose. Try to learn as much as we can. I'll probably go deeper into this game, into some of the variations, and yeah, last rounds. We'll try to do our best. Alrighty, thank you, Zach, for joining me, folks. Go follow the Chess Nerd on his YouTube channel and Twitch.
Subscribe to Chess Dojo too. Good shit.
Please do.
Can I swear on this channel?
Yeah, you can say. All right, and that'll be it for us. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Good shit.